right. What's up, guys? It's your boy Shay, and it's been a long time since I made a video, and pretty much you could say the reason why I'm finally able to do a video for you guys now is because I'm finally free from school, and in graduating from college, specifically during the pandemic, I feel like I've learned some things about education and the college system that was really brought out and was really exposed due to COVID, right? It's really interesting because it's like students and just schooling in general has never gotten, this type of learning experience through a pandemic like in pretty much 100 years, like since like the last pandemic, world pandemic type of thing. The key difference is that we have technology that allows us in today's time to be able to continue and further education even while we're at home, right? That's part of the reason why I'm here talking to you guys today, because through doing schooling in my dorm for like the past 2 years, I learned a lot about what school system, what the college system deems as necessary and what they deem as unnecessary in terms of education, in terms of financial things that they need to make a priority, in terms of social priorities, in terms of the experience that their students will have on campus. All of those things go into play. And the thing that I realize most about education, and pay attention now, education is simply organized information. Literally, that's all it is. Education is organized information. Nothing more, nothing less, right? I learned this a lot through my classes during the pandemic, specifically online classes, right? I took this one class that was called An Introduction to Hip Hop, right? It told about the history of hip hop, where it is today, the culture of hip hop, all this kind of stuff, a wide variety of things to cover, right? However, because of COVID, because of the pandemic, it was all forced to be online, right? And due to it being online, there were some shortcuts that could be taken around in terms of getting the information to the students. Because the teacher didn't need to physically be in front of students and need to physically give the students the information, there are some ways that you can do it online, which could be easier. Take for example, my teacher, what he did was he set everything up on Canvas, which is kind of like just like a homework tool that allows you to see like your assignments, your quizzes, your tests, all on that thing, and you can even do them on that too. But one cool thing, I guess you could say is cool for the teachers, that you can do is also have modules on Canvas. And that was one thing that he really took advantage of, was having these modules where he had lessons on that website. And literally, we would just learn from those PowerPoint modules. He's never lectured to us before. I've never heard him lecture in person at all. Literally, the only way I would be learning in that class was through the PowerPoints that he had made. And on top of that too, a lot of those modules actually had YouTube videos. So it's like basically I'm learning a college level course that I'm paying for, but pretty much all I'm learning is watching YouTube videos. That's how I'm getting my education, just by watching YouTube videos. Long story short, I can just do that on my own. I don't have to pay a 4-year tuition cost just to have somebody tell me to watch YouTube videos about hip hop. And I was like, are you serious? I was like, I can do this myself. But the reason why we pay for this type of education is because what my teacher had was all condensed into a specific type of topic, right? Of course, I can go all over the internet. I can search up hip hop, I can search up rapping, I can search up freestyling, all that kind of stuff. But it wouldn't be geared towards the specific subject matter, the specific type of niche education that he was trying to convey to his students, right? With me looking it up randomly, I probably wouldn't have gotten that same kind of concentrated understanding of these specific things that the teacher wanted me to learn. And, looking at it, it's like, is there anything wrong with not getting a condensed, concentrated type of education? I don't know. I don't think there is. Is there something wrong with getting just a wide variety of, education on a whole bunch of hip-hop videos that you can just see yourself? With their own that either. The thing that I have a problem with is how they charge students to have teachers tell them to watch videos like this, right? They have students pay teachers to tell them to read a book, to tell them to look at their PowerPoints, while the teachers themselves don't really do much. And, that's all it really is. Like, literally, if you go on Amazon, you can find so many college and university books, so many of them that Yale, that Princeton, that UCSD, that UCLA, that they will tell their students to purchase for that class. And then the teachers will also tell the students to read from that book for the entire quarter or the entire semester. Really, right? So, in all actuality, a student could hypothetically just buy that book without having to pay the money to take that class and just learn on their own pace, right? But when it comes down to it, it's the professor. You're paying for the professor to tell you what you're supposed to read, what book you're supposed to read, and so that's all it really is. Basically, colleges and universities are basically just tour guides for education. They give you digestible, and sometimes not even digestible, chunks of organized information for you to study that they tell you that information that itself specific to visual artists or this kind of education that you're learning is specific to astrophysicists or specific to zoologists. They organize that information according to what career path you want to do. That's all it is. All that education is already out here on the internet for free. YouTube, Google, so many sites. Like, so many free academic sites are out there. But it's just the means of finding it yourself, which is the quote-unquote problem, or that's the solution that colleges bring. And another thing, how I know that this is pretty much the sum of all of what colleges and universities will do is just give you organized information, is because during my 2020-2021 academic school year at the University of California, San Diego, my tuition at that school was actually more expensive than the tuition that I had during the 2019-2020 academic school year at University of California, San Diego. And you would think, wait, like, what the fuck? Like, isn't that funny? Like, schooling and tuition during the pandemic is more expensive than tuition before the pandemic. And keep in mind too, during the pandemic, during COVID, there were no school events, right? No school events. We couldn't use the gym. We couldn't use a lot of the resources that were on campus, right? Yet, they still had us paying for those resources. If you look on the tuition that we got charged, I actually made a fuss about it because I was like, this is stupid. We got charged for the REMAC facility gym fee, which was like $89 a quarter, right? We got charged that fee. We got charged like a $300 or $400 student activity fee, which we didn't even take advantage of or get to do because a lot of the sports and activities were subject to just them being with the teams. Like, there couldn't be spectators at these events. There wasn't anything going on. So we didn't even benefit from paying that money. So you think about it, it's like, okay, why are these colleges still charging us this stuff, but we're not getting any of these resources? And you realize that college is just a business, right? Think about that. Like, there would be no need for them to charge us that stuff, if we weren't going to use it. And yet, they still charge us that stuff. We don't get to use those utilities, and we're only getting a basic education that's fundamentally, at the bottom, just PowerPoints and slides, pretty much. And I was like, wow, this is what the education system has come to in America, at least, where colleges will charge kids more on tuition, on resources that they won't even get to use, and give them a YouTube level education. I was like, wow, that's crazy. And it really changed my perspective and my outlook on education in this country. And it really needs to change, because that's just a scam. And I don't want to say that I'm subject to being scammed, because at the same time I got a really good education developing myself as an artist. I had really great professors who had a lot of insight on, the art field. I had really great people that I worked with in classes, and it was really cool. However, taking into consideration the price that you pay for that, it makes you scratch your head and wonder, is it all worth it? One thing that I think should be a fundamental thing about education is the social experience that you get. And it's ironic too, because it's like, not only in education should you get a social interactive experience with your other, peers and students. That's the core thing that colleges will advertise. If you look on so many college commercials, what do you think is like the main thing that they show? The student events, the football games, the rallies, all this kind of stuff. They love to push for like the social experience. But when COVID comes and the social experiences are gone because of the pandemic, they still charge us for those experiences that we don't even get. And we don't even get to engage and interact with their students in our college classes. Like, that's crazy. Long story short, yeah, education should be socially engaged with. There's so many things that you can learn from other students. There's so many things that you can learn when you're learning something not just by yourself. People have different opinions. People bring different things to the table when we're presented a situation. For example, right? This was actually in my Great Performances on Film class that I took my senior year during my last quarter. It was a Great Performances on Film class, and the teacher, he had us watch a Spike Lee film called Do the Right Thing, right? I watched the film, and having watched the film, I had a few opinions that I wanted to be able to express to the students, because I felt like it was a very valuable, insightful perspective that I had. Not only just because I thought my question or my observation on the movie was really good, but because I was literally probably the only African American in that class. UCSD already has a very low African American student population. We're 2%, that's all. And I think there's like over 30,000 students who go to that school. So out of that many students, just 2% are African American. It's pretty crazy. So you would think that having an insight from an African American student would be great for the non-African American students. However, I wasn't able to do that. I wasn't able to engage with other students and let them know my opinions on the film. And I thought that was a missed opportunity to have those students grow, and to even have me grow, for me to be able to say something to them and them to be able to reciprocate and answer back to me, and for me to be able to reflect on their opinion about what I said. Like, we all engage and we all grow together. And that's what education should be, because it helps us learn better. We're not stagnant, just learning one thing by ourselves, just having one opinion. It helps to have multiple opinions, to have multiple perspectives on something. because we can look at something in a way that we've never looked at it before. So, yeah. But, like I said, through COVID, that was something that was definitely not shown to be a priority for schools, at least for the school that I went to. That definitely was not a priority. Engaging socially in classes was not a priority. Having school activities was definitely not a priority. Of course, you have COVID, you want to take COVID precautions, but at the same time too, what are you giving your students? If you're promising your students a social experience, a fun college academic experience, and all they're getting is just sad, depressing classes in their dorm rooms, like, that's just a really bad bargain. And it's really bad on the college's parts, because to be able to sell them short on that and still take their money, I don't know. It's crazy to me. To wrap it up, if you're a high school student and you're thinking about going to college, really think about that. Really think about that question. If college is right for you. Think about what it is that you want from college. Is it the education that you want from college? Because that education almost could always be found somewhere else. It doesn't have to be found at a university with professors telling you to watch a YouTube video. You can find that same kind of education on Amazon, on YouTube, on Google yourself. If it's the social experience that you're getting before college, think about that too. Is it a school that really prides itself on giving students a great time socially? Having them make memories, having them make fun. Unfortunately, the school I went to, that wasn't a priority for them. They didn't really care about the social, memorable experiences that students would make on campus. Unfortunately, for me, it's just something I'm gonna have to live with. But all in all, it's all about just evaluating what you want from life. And, even if things do go south or wherever it goes, sometimes we can't control what happens in this world. You just have to be able to roll with the punches. I'm not saying that COVID was a bad thing altogether for my educational experience. If it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't have graduated in the spring quarter of 2021. COVID allowed me to be able to put on so many more units than I realistically would have been able to do. I took 20 units winter quarter of 2021, and that allowed me to be able to take enough units to be able to graduate. If I didn't do that, I'd still be taking classes right now. So, there's a push and a pull, there's a give and take when it comes to stuff. And though, say, my social experience in college was taken away, me being able to graduate at an earlier time than I would have expected to be able to graduate came to me. And I took advantage of that. And I was able to graduate in 2021 and be able to start, living my life after graduation. So, just know that when one door closes like that, another door opens. So just take advantage of it while you can. Always be open to change and possibilities. That's all I gotta say. Thanks for watching.